when you do it. And then it's the turn lanes and modifications to the canals that you have to do. They're not cheap. And you don't need access management for another one. So that's the challenge.
I'm allowed 2 minutes, so I'm going to throw at you 4 questions, okay? And you'll answer one at a time. The first question was, a year and a half ago, I was with Commissioner Bert Sanders at a church with several of you guys, and I was there, and you mentioned that the road was failing, guaranteed, in 4 years. That was a year and a half ago. So you knew that this road is failing. A year and a half ago, it probably wasn't even done a survey from before. Prior to this, I would like to know, so if you knew, why are you building an overpass in 40 years from now? Why don't you build it in the next 10 years or 5 years? That's one.
You want me to do the question?
Please, no, 1 second. Please take all of them.
Okay.
Most of you have been there 15 years. From what I hear, you've been working there. Who allowed our developer to move that by 160 feet? You probably had that approval. If you had, you should have known that this will interfere with the lights and the roadways that you are building. So why did you give them the permission to move that 160 feet? The next one is Mrs. Scott said that she's willing to negotiate, as you've been telling us, you want to negotiate, you want to do the best. But yet she's saying everything is negotiable, but you're not going to be responsible for landscaping and pavers. What are you responsible for? The air? If you are taking away from us the pavers and the landscaping, what is left on the road to maintain? So what kind of negotiations is it? So I would appreciate all the answers one at a time, please.
I got 3 questions, so we're going to miss one. I'll go one at a time. Talk about roadway failure, okay? When we say to the board the road is going to fail, it includes the trips that are measured, the 2 counts that Trinity and Tony put down, plus the background traffic that we expect to develop. So when Mr. Corolla says, I want to build a gas station, he comes in for a development order, and we put that in like a checkbook, and we say, when it's done, it'll add this many trips onto the road, okay? When the board adopted a level of service, picture this challenge. I go to church on Easter Sunday, I don't go most of the time. Is there seating capacity in a church on Easter Sunday? The answer is no, we know that. So you don't design the roadways for that level of 1 to 2 months of the peak of the year. Why? Because you couldn't afford to. So when we talk about roadway failure, to your first question, it's a planning failure. It hasn't happened yet. A 6-lane road can carry 3,500 cars in the peak direction. It hasn't gotten to that point. What we've told the board is, it takes us anywhere from 4 to 7 years to complete a road project. Between public involvement, you go to meetings like this, you do 20 over the course of 2 years with the residents. So we said, it's going to fail. So your question is, did we know it was failing? Yes, it was. Did we plan an alternative? Yes, we did. We had Vanderbilt Beach Road extension. If I had to choose between an improvement between Vanderbilt Beach Road extension and the overpass, I would pick Vanderbilt Beach Road extension. Why? Because most new traffic that comes across the Immokalee Road is from the east. The only choice they have is a Immokalee Road over to go all the way down to Golden Gate Boulevard. But when you add Vanderbilt Beach Road extension, which is approximately 2 miles south of this, a lot of these folks will shift off Wilson, shift off 8th, shift off 16th, and you'll see a dramatic drop in traffic on Immokalee Road. So the overpass is planned, again, for another 30 years out. So when Vanderbilt gets to the point that it's full, then the overpass can be built as well. Okay? So hopefully
Excuse me, at that time, I had told the Commissioner Sanders, you were adding a lot more development in the projects, and I asked him, please, if you want to do the right thing, under eminent domain, take a portion from these developers and widen the road. That would have been the easiest and the best way to do it.
which road, sir?
Immokalee Road. I'm only talking Immokalee. I'm not interested in Vanderbilt. I don't live there. I don't live anywhere else.
Okay, so I'm going to answer your question one at a time, but you didn't let me answer. A single lane road in each direction has a utilization rate of 1. Okay, so a road that goes east-west 1 lane is 1. Why do they call it 1? Because cars aren't shifting lanes. They don't have a choice to drive that way. You have a 2-lane road. The lane utilization drops down to 0.9. I'm off a little bit, but Tony's nodding his head, my engineer. So I build a road, it costs me twice as much to build a 4-lane road as a single-lane road, and I get a utilization of 0.9. Then I go to a 6-lane road, right? My utilization drops to 0.8 or 0.75, which means cars are moving between lanes. I'm not utilizing all the lanes, but my cost for that road goes exponentially higher. So when you go to an 8-lane road, utilization drops down to 6.6. So you build an alternative road because those, you get much more value for that road. Now you say you're not concerned with Vanderbilt Beach Road. You need to come spend an hour with us and I'll explain to you why. Your concern is Immokalee Road, and the only way to pull people off of Immokalee Road is not to add more lanes. You want an 8-lane Immokalee Road? No. You want another alternative for those people who are going to drive on a different road, which is not in front of you. So let me keep going with your answers, because you hit me with 3. I want to at least get 500 here.
The 160 feet to allow this.
This 160-foot stitch was a court order because the folks to the south had a case with us, and the court said, you will line up with them, but it doesn't make a difference. Because if the 160 feet was the ultimate decision maker between a signal and not a signal, I'm not worried about that. The decision is the distance from the intersection. Thank you. The future overpass and the fact that a signal is going here. So when you do traffic engineering, the engineers don't pick winners and losers. They measure traffic, spacing, volumes. When you put a signal here, this is not going to be traffic wise. It's not the 160 feet. That's not the deal killer.
But this 160 feet was decided, not now, not 5 years ago, almost 10 years ago. That 160 feet was approved 10 years ago. So you have no idea that you're going to put a light there.
What I'm trying to explain to you is, all the developer documents show a signal here first. That was a secondary signal location. If it meets warrants, what it means is, you get a signal if, when you measure the traffic, it meets the warrants. We know, traffic engineers, traffic planners, that when you put a signal here, this is not going to meet warrants. It won't meet the criteria. Forget the 160 feet. It's a red herring. It's not going to be the final deal for a signal or not. We talked about the landscaping. The commissioners always have the opportunity to say we would take over the landscaping papers. Here's the challenge. As a public entity, we take on road projects and there are embellishments on the road projects. We say usually that's the responsibility of the people that want the embellishment. Because we take over, let me finish, we take over a base road. If that's the reason why, because it's going to be a conflict in maintenance, we're going to consider that as well too. I'm not negotiating. What I'm trying to say is, we'll listen to every argument you have because we work for you. And we'll sit down with your leadership and try and figure this out because this is where we are today.
Okay, I've been to several of the meetings and you listened very well, but when it comes to action, we'll talk about it in a few years. You want to negotiate, you negotiate with our president. You give us the value if you want to take it under eminent domain, give us the value of the land, or you take over the road, maintain it fully from A to Z, including insurances, including everything that we are responsible. You want to take it over, you can do it and pay us the price for the value of the road. That's the negotiation. Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Exactly right.
No money.
You know, I think the questions are starting to get to be the same. I think we want to have a couple more.
No, they're not.
I have a question. First of all, before I ask the question, I think all the questions asked by the Quarry residents, I think have been very good questions, and I thank each and every one of you for asking them. All right. My questions are, number one, you talk about the new proposed traffic light across from the Quarry entrance. When is that scheduled to be installed? Probably within the next 12 to 18 months, Tony. Wow. 12 to 18 months. Now, back to, my second question is back to the 160 feet. The first presenter said that, sorry, you can't, you're 160 feet short, meaning the distance between the exit there on Limestone Road or whatever, and the Collier Boulevard interface is 160 feet short, right? Okay. If we move that road, that you mentioned, you would have more than you could get more than a half mile between the spacing, and you get more than half a mile between that
new proposed road and the traffic light you're talking about. So you meet the half-mile limitation on both sides.
I'm not worried about the half mile. As the other gentleman pointed out to me, that to take this and spend $2 million to move a bridge 160 feet makes no difference to me.
My third, maybe not you, but my third one is if you, behind you, I can't see it, you're standing away, but when you propose that traffic to go in, come into Quarry Drive, you have to take much more than a 90-degree turn to get on that right. How is that going to be a safe turn?
Over here,
Yes.
it's designed for 20 miles an hour, it's a safe turn. I drove it
But
in
if people
turn.
come in there and go to racetrack, they're not going to be 20 miles an hour.
You talking making this turn?
Yeah. Talking about coming in and then.
Who would come in? Think about, again, if I do a traffic plan, if I come from the east and I want to get here,
Right.
why would I come in here when I can come right in here?
And that's what people are doing now.
No, sir, what I'm telling you is, if I'm a resident in the east, and I'm coming down Motley Road at 45 miles an hour, why would I come in the front of the quarry, down a 20 mile an hour road, where I can continue 45 miles an hour, it's only on the right turn?
All I can tell you is if you come in from the east and you need gasoline, you come in there and you drive down this road. You take that way because it's shorter, going down the traffic light and doubling back.
That's true.
I'm missing the car, I'm not following the car, I'm not trying to, what I'm saying is a vehicle, it doesn't make any sense for them to go in here, when they can come in here and use that spot. The stoplight does nothing.
I'm just going to interject to help this gentleman. Don't hold it against me, I grew up in New York City. The way we drive is we find the fastest route. So if I was going east to west, and I was on there, and the gas station was on that side because most of the traffic in the morning. If I get gas and that light is red, I am not stopping for that red light. I am getting in the right-hand lane, going right, and going through there. And I think any traffic count that doesn't consider the fact that people will be wise to traffic flow, I'm looking to save minutes. If I'm in the rush hour commute, I'm going to be in that right-hand lane every single
I'll
time.
tell you what we'll do. We'll have Tony's team put up traffic cameras, and we will count how many cars do that. Still, I'm serious, because the way we do things is we base our decisions on that. How many cars actually do it?
Yeah, but right now there's no light, so nobody.
What I'm saying is I'll do it before and after. I'll count how many cars we actually do.
It's too late then.
I don't know how long all of you want to stay here tonight, but I think it's probably time to wrap up.
One simple question. I'm Wayne Castronova, local CPA, I live in the quarry. I came here to find out what this is going to cost me and our community.
Right now, nothing. Right now, what we're doing is talking about what solutions will be there. Right now, your community is responsible for the bridges, Limestone Trail, and the traffic signals that we're doing over there. What the commission will ultimately hear from staff is, after we meet with some of your presidents and representatives, is what can we do to offset some of this thing that makes sense, that doesn't put us in a position that we're violating anything we've done in the past or in the future. The board's got some leeway. That's going to take some time to sit down with you. Right now, if nothing changes, a traffic signal will go in there. The Transportation Planning Department has a finance section. They'll take it and send a bill to the entire Heritage Bay and say, that's $500,000, $250,000 of responsibility of Heritage Bay. You get a bill.
And that's our bill.
That would be your bill right now on the PUDRI.
And what about the two bridges? You said $2 million each one.
Each bridge is $1 to $2 million. Right now, you own them between the commercial developer and the one that's there. When you have to maintain it or it fails, you're the responsibility to replace it. The community is. What I'm saying is, if there are things that we can do that we've done for other communities to say, okay, we're in this situation, you didn't have a master HOA, you weren't aware of all these things. If it's going to be a public road, we're going to put a signal over there. Do we propose to the board that we take these on for maintenance purposes? We know we last about 40 years with the no maintenance, but we've got a maintenance department that takes care of these things.
Again, I want to thank you for your patience. So I just have two quick things. I'm going because he asked what I was going to ask. Once you make that right-hand turn, and then you're going to go left, the problem that you can't see now is that when you have that peak flow in the morning, and you did the traffic count, I forget what it was, Trinity Scott talked about it, or someone 150, 200 cars, it's not flow. Half of them are stopped because they're contractors trying to get into the community. And that forms a line. And that line is going to start blocking off the people that are making the left, the Limestone Trail, which is going to back up. Okay? You need to be aware of it, that's all I'm telling you. I understand everything you said, and the light at the entrance to the quarry is a foregone conclusion. I understand how it makes sense. Is it correct that that light's going to cost about $400,000 to $500,000?
That's correct.
Okay, I thought, help me understand, I thought in the planning documents, the developer, i.e. Pulte or Centex, was responsible for the cost of that light.
They are, and then at the very end of your PUD, it says its successors or assigns. So when the DRI takes it over, well, just like Pulte is the developer, was responsible to maintain the lake. And when the HOA took over from the developer, successors or assigns maintains the lake. So here's your challenge, and because I've worked for master associations on the private side. When you turn over, the most important thing you can do is hire a land use attorney and engineer. Okay? But they don't tell you that when you're buying the home. They kind of go real quick on the turnover process, and it's a private transaction. Because the attorney would say, you have the obligations of today, you have the obligations that are coming up for maintenance, and then you have future obligations that have yet to be determined. Some HOAs will get that in a bond for the developer, some won't. So that's that master association change that we made, hopefully to help you out a little bit.
My turn? Okay. All right, my understanding is the whole purpose of this road under the PUD is to keep everybody that lives in the Heritage Bay community, including us, keep us off of Mockley Road, and that was the purpose of Limestone.
Partly, that's partly correct.
And everything I read in the PUD is that was the sole purpose of that road, to keep the PUD people in the PUD, or the commercial area.
Partly. It's not a sole
But
purpose.
the only thing I heard about it being open to the public was that one line about a sidewalk protruding on Limestone Trail, and somebody mentioned public. That's the only time I've ever heard that.
When the DRI was approved, they showed the interconnected roads. So when I say partly, it's not the sole purpose for you. They do a traffic count. All right, so I did traffic counts and traffic engineering for the private side. So I'm submitting an application to the county. I want the Board of County Commissioners to approve my master project. So I say to the board, I have all these roads that are interconnected, and I have master planned access points. With the PUD DRI plan that you saw, that Mark showed you, showed a traffic signal right there. So I come in front of the board and I say, because I'm interconnected, because I'm access managed plans, and I have a signal here, my traffic is less on the county road, because the commercial, the residential, and the access points are all interconnected. I get what's called internal capture, pass by, and a reduction in traffic. So when I go in front of a body such as Mark, I can be the one presenting for the developer. I say, approve my project because my project works really, really well, because I've master planned it with the county planners. And the board goes, okay, we heard what you said, this is a master plan community. You can see what happened from the approval till today. The PUD or the DRR is broken up into two. The entities have different interests, and the commercial developer has a different interest. But when they came in front of the board, they said the reason you should approve us is because we're master planned and interconnected, and these points are all planned along the way, and you will reduce traffic on the Mockley Road. That's what was presented to the board.
Yeah,
That's
it
why
was
I said-
presented for the residents of the PUD. But what I can't get my hands around is, for the benefit of the commercial developer, you allow him to move the road 160 feet.
Makes no
And for 8 years, I've been paying my CDD, and doesn't that cover the cost of the construction of the road and bridges? And why are you taking that from me without reimbursing me for my CDD payments?
But I'm not taking it from you. What I'm saying is I'm willing to take it to the board as an option to help lessen the impact of what's going on. I'm not going to take it from you.
But when I come out of that main gate,
Right.
and traffic is backed up as it is down by 41, on, I can't remember the name of the development, but
Right.
by the old New York Pizza, when you come out, the people coming out of their private community have to wait for all the commercial traffic to come out. And so we're gonna suffer, we're gonna lose part of our equity. We've been paying 8 years, 10 years, 12 years for CDD payments. You're just gonna take the road and not compensate us. I don't think that is right under the law. If you're taking our road, and we now have to wait at our gate to get out, or wait at our gate to get in, and we're inconvenienced and not being compensated, that's just not right.
I don't have to take it. You can keep ownership of it.
You're ignoring our laws.
No, I'm not. But that's, we're getting to semantics. We don't have to suggest to the board we maintain that road. You guys can keep ownership of that road, but what happens is, when you were approved, that road is for public access. What I'm saying is, right now it's your responsibility to resurface it when it fails, to maintain everything that's on there. That's, you guys get charged for it. This one is public. We will resurface that road when it fails. Right now, when the bridge fails, you'll have to replace it as a CDD.
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
And this is coming from an insurance adjuster. Somebody has a bad accident there, and they sue everybody, and we're still owners of that road. Are you going to hold us harmless?
Well, there you go. You're saying it's a double-edged sword for me, because I'm saying I'm willing to suggest to the board we take it as a public road where the liability would come off of me.
Right.
But you're telling me you want me to pay for that and take the liability off.
Yes, just
take it.
Yeah, I have been paying for that road, and here's what I'm saying about it. I have to pay for that road for 20 more years. The CDD payments pay for that road.
I'm
So
here.
you're taking it over, but you're not paying me for what I've already paid for.
Listen, I'm going to try and get you to laugh. I'm government, I'm here to help you. Because I want to keep this light, and I'm going to try and tell you, I'll do what I can to keep it on the law.
Okay, I think we need to bring the meeting to a close. I would like to thank the county officials for coming out to the quarry and presenting the plan, including the commissioner. Attention please, please. Yes, can I just set that microphone and then we'll give it to the commissioner. Again, I'd like to thank the county for coming out today to address the issue. I am somewhat encouraged that there is movement on the county's part by what they talked about today as compared to what they told us in our March 8th meeting. That encourages me to say that we will work with you to try to figure out a solution. I'm not sure that we are interested in creating a master association, which may have been necessary at some point in time, but we've got enough associations between our Quarry Community Association, the Heritage Bay, a CDD there, a CDD here, a Heritage Bay Umbrella Association. We're loaded with associations, but I would like to work with the county, with board members, and perhaps we bring some homeowners into an ad hoc working group to address this issue. And again, I thank you for coming out, and I am encouraged that we did hear some positive things today about some movement the county is willing to take. But this is our road. I know you said it was in the PUD, and the language is there that says that it's supposed to be for interconnectivity, but that road was deeded to the Quarry Community Association. As such, we have all the responsibility of that road. And today, as a result of all the commercial development, and with no landscaping, with no wall, that road continues daily with people who are patronizing the commercial property. They just park their car there, they throw their fishing lines into the pond right on our golf course, and we have to call the Collier County Sheriff's Office to have that addressed. That isn't a good use of their time. There's got to be a solution to fix that so that we have the privacy that we need to keep people off this private property. Signs don't do it. But we will work on a solution to Limestone Trail. So I thank you.
I just want to make a couple of quick points. Number one, we had as all of you know, we had a tremendous problem, we saw a tremendous problem on Pine Ridge Road as an example. The commission conducted a study and we determined how we could fix Pine Ridge Road, the major intersections. It's going to cost a lot of money, but we're going to make sure that happens. We've directed our staff to take a look at Immokalee Road. All of these intersections that we're talking about are going to be analyzed, and we're going to come up with solutions to all of the problems on Immokalee Road. And so this particular issue, I'm not here to say how we're going to resolve this particular issue. In the grand scheme of things, it's very important to everyone in this room, but also what's very important to everyone in this room is our ability to fix Immokalee Road. That's going to be the next area that we're going to be studying. And I think staff has already initiated that. So there are going to be improvements on the horizon. Now, one of the problems that we've had is how do we fund all of this? And as all of you know, we have a 1 cent sales tax referendum that's going to be coming to the voters in November, assuming we get 3 votes at the next meeting to put on the ballot. I think we will. I'm going to encourage all of you to support that. 1/3 of that cost will be paid for by tourists. We'll be able to do a tremendous amount of road work that will help Immokalee Road. It won't be directed exactly to these intersections because we don't have a specific project outlined yet. But it will free up other money so we can fix these problems. And I think we can do that in very short order. In terms of this particular problem, I think the solution is for some representatives to get together. I'm happy to work with some folks, with staff. Staff is doing what they are supposed to do. They have documents that say X, and they're enforcing the documents that say that. Now, the commission can make changes. It's not up to them to make the changes, it's up to the commission. So what I'm suggesting is that I'm willing to work with you, I'm willing to work with staff, and they're willing to work with the commission to try to find some solutions. No one wants to take your property. That's the last thing that anybody wants to do. Quite frankly, personally, whether we own Limestone Road or whether you own Limestone Road, that's not the real issue. We have to solve this whole transportation problem on Immokalee Road. So working together, we can get that done. I really appreciate everyone's energy, and the reason I said that I thought we needed to kind of wrap things up is because we are at a point where we're not going to make any further progress on this particular plan. But we will make progress on this plan if you have some representatives that will get with me, get with our staff, and let's try to solve that. And one last comment, November, when you see the sales tax thing on the ballot, think about how that will free up a lot of money for projects that will help your community, even if some of those projects are not on the market. So thank you.